Julia, we're talking about optimism and stress in the workplace and the effect that optimism can have, particularly around lawyers. What do you think?
Optimism is something that's in the literature a lot at the moment. The movement of positive psychology has really increased people's interest in this area. And optimism broadly is a very good thing to have. Optimism is defined as kind of the way we think the world is a positive place. And if you're in an optimistic state, you'll think that things are bound to go well. And even if they don't, you'll be able to cope fine. And it increases job satisfaction. It increases life satisfaction, and perhaps particularly pertinent to the workplace, it increases resilience. So if you're feeling optimistic, you're more likely to be able to cope when things don't go to plan, and you're more likely to be creative in finding solutions to cope with things going wrong. So optimism is definitely a good thing to foster in employees. It's defined in the psychological theories as being both a state and a trait. So the trait of optimism just refers to the differences between one person and another, that there are some people who are just more likely to feel optimistic about the world than others. You can't do very much about that. Optimism is also a state, which means that within one individual, their levels of optimism will vary from one day to another depending on the context. And that is something that can be affected by the context you're in. So within the world of law, lawyers are almost encouraged to be pessimistic by the nature of the work. So lawyers need to look at a situation and think about what might go wrong here, what are the pitfalls, what are the problems, and then to think about solutions for them. So the very nature of that work is likely to lower their levels of optimism, their state levels of optimism, which then has a knock-on problem for their ability to cope when things go wrong.
So what can employers do?
Well, my understanding is that you can't change the nature of the work. So lawyers are always going to be paid to look for potential problems. So we can't do anything about that. What law firms can do is have a think about how they can compensate for the impact that this might have on individuals. And in particular, there are lots of programs out there that can help people to foster resilience. So within that specifically, law firms might want to think about tools for increasing creativity in staff to help staff think about ways to solve problems, and overall well-being as well. There are lots of positive psychologists come up with some fantastic and very easily managed tools to increase overall levels of well-being, which could then perhaps sort of compensate for the dip in optimism that the work itself engenders.